This is our looting system for the Vision Guild. This is for guildies that do not have master looter responsibilities. So use EPGP Lootmaster as a interface for the guild looting, and we do this because it's quite a very fast system to use. Makes it so that we can spend most of our time on the boss fights instead of the looting system. So right off the bat, you're going to want to get the add-on, and that is pretty obvious. You just go to Curse, where we have links all over the place for it. Install it using the Curse client, probably. You can do it by hand if you need to, but Curse client just makes it easy to keep it updated. What you want to know right off the bat is that this add-on will require you to choose your upgrades very carefully. So you probably want to have an idea very clearly of which gear is best for your class. Okay. For those who actually know how EPGP works, we are not using it, so don't worry about it. For those who don't know how it works, don't even bother looking it up. It's that far removed from our system that you don't have to worry about it at all. First thing you want to do when you install the add-on is once you log in, go to the add-on control panel and turn off the master looter part of the add-on. It's totally not needed, so just keep it off if you are not on the loot council. So when something drops, this is kind of what you'll see. There is actually part of this is not used at all for you guys, but I put it on here just in case. So when something drops, what you will really see is right here. Okay, this big green window. We kind of highlight it here. Once you have this open, first keep in mind that only the things that are applicable to your class are going to be on here. Okay, you're not going to have like cloth chest piece on here if you are a tank. It's just not going to show up at all. So don't worry about the things that don't show. Just worry about the things that do. You'll notice there's quite a few parts of this window here. Number one, little icon right here. This tells you exactly what item it is. If you mouse over that, or if you mouse over the name right here, you'll be able to see exactly what stats are on the item. You don't have to be standing around the boss trying to figure out what it is. Okay? So once something drops, just immediately go and just start killing the next stuff, whatever trash might be. You'll notice a bunch of different buttons here. First one, higher level upgrade, same level upgrade, flex, 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 flex off spec, normal off spec, trade skill, and pass. Okay, so first one, higher level upgrade. If whatever has dropped is a higher eye level than what you have currently, you want to select this. Okay, this is a substantial upgrade, enough to cause a stir. If it is the exact same item level, but it still considers part of an upgrade for what you have on currently, go ahead and hit this button. If you are a designated off spec, a flex role, okay, this is like someone who has been designated by the guild to have a tank set completely ready for any time we need to use it, but he's actually DPS, okay, or a DPS person who has a dedicated heal spec. This kind of person is going to get priority with the gear. So if and only if you are one of those people, you may hit this button if that counts for you. And then everyone else, if there's an off spec here, you can go ahead and push this button. If there is a recipe that drops and you have 100% trade skill in whatever that item is, you can go ahead and push that button there. Now we do reserve the right to make sure the recipes go to the higher end people of the guild. We don't want things just taking off recipes that are possibly of use to the guild in the future. So most likely we'll make sure an officer has a recipe first, and then we'll distribute it to the other guildies. That'll be mostly an agreed basis there, so we'll be taking random rolls. And then if you just can't use whatever it is, and you would just rather go off to someone else, just press pass. That's not a big deal. Okay. So those are the main parts of the interface. What you also have to know about this is that there is a timer right here. So 1 minute per item, and they all drop at the same time. So this is why it's very important for you to kind of have an idea of what boss drops which upgrades. Okay, so once those things drop, these timers will start counting down, and you'll have exactly that amount of time to push one of those buttons. That's really all you have to know about this. Okay, the rest of this red part here, this is actually what we see on the other side of that. And if you notice, you'll get a whole list of people and what's selected, right there. And don't worry about the EPGGGGP stuff. We're not really using that, but there is a area where we have random rolls that pop up. We might use that for certain things, and then we can see exactly what item level and per other statistics of whatever you guys have on right now. So there won't be a lot of ways for this not to be transparent. We're going to know exactly what's going on at all times. All you have to know, though, is push the correct button at the correct time. So here's our general loot policy, just so you know coming into this. Our loot council has been filled with impartial players whenever possible. Okay, obviously there's going to be a little bit of variation to that because people are human. However, if there are significant problems with that, it is my best intention to, remove any partiality, I guess. Loot Council is going to be focusing on the best needs for the guild. All right. Does that mean that they're going to be grabbing every single item they can for themselves? Absolutely not. That's exactly the opposite of what we're going for here. We are focusing on the raid as a whole, as a player. Okay. So think about the raid as an actual player. Like, where are its strengths? Where is its weaknesses? What needs to be ironed out first? Okay. That being said, the tanks are exactly 2 people, of 25. The tanks have the most responsibility on their heads over everyone else. Okay. So we need to make sure that they are geared to the teeth to make sure that this focus point is taken care of. All right. So the tanks will be geared first. The healers, because they're in a similar situation, get geared secondly, and then the gear starts filtering down to the DPS as we can. Now there is one exception to that. Okay. If we get to a point in progression where we just can't get past a boss because we're hitting a DPS check over and over again, we're doing the mechanics perfectly, but the DPS checks are not being fulfilled, I may go ahead and say, for this raid, we're going to flip this around. Okay, we're going to say DPS get priorities over everyone else, then the healers and main tanks, or whatever, I got to have the freedom to be able to do that, and I will have the freedom to do that, but you have to realize that unless I call for that, by default, the tanks and the healers get the gear first, in that order. And then after that, the gear would filter down into off specs, which, like I said before, it's going to go to the designated flex rolls over everyone else, and then everyone else after that probably on a random roll. I don't want to hear a single person whining about loot. That's a big deal, okay? If you go into our raid and, you want this great sword or this shoulder piece, I don't care what it is. If you go in there and start bitching about the loot, not getting it, and thinking that it's unfair due to loot council, you're blaming all sorts of things, you're probably going to get kicked out of the raid almost immediately and probably out of the guild, okay? Don't put me in that situation. Don't put my officers in that situation. Don't start complaining about the loot. It's not appropriate. If you have issues with how we're handling the loot, you may talk to us outside of raiding, okay? But it's going to be on a personal basis. It's going to be one-on-one, or maybe, officers versus you. But talking about it in front of the guild is just not appropriate, and it brings down everyone. So we're not going to be allowing that at all, okay? After that, just please remember that the selection will be only exactly 1 minute from when the loot is announced. So that's that timer I was talking about in your interface. If you miss that, we are not going back on that. All right. So you're going to need to be on top of that. Make your loot selection very, very quickly. And if you miss it, don't even say a thing because we're not going to listen to you. Okay. sucks, but we have to do this in the best interest of our raid. Get more loot by being awesome. This is kind of an etiquette thing as well. I want to kind of make it clear that 99% of our loot selection is going to be objective. That means it's going to be using measurable things to, promote good gearing. So we're going to put the gear where it will best serve the raid whenever possible. This may be in the form of, this person has been here for a while and they've been really kicking ass. They've been doing a hell of a lot of DPS or heals per second based on their item level, and they're just doing exceptional. We want to give it out to those kind of people. We basically want to put the gear out to where it's going to benefit the raid the best. That is the only objective to this. Now, I said that's 99%. There is a 1% on top of that, okay? Get more loot by being awesome. Well, what does awesome mean for a raider? Awesome means being productive, proactive, and self-sufficient. We don't want to be leading people through the raids by hand. We want to come in and essentially everyone should be completely researched on whatever new fight we're coming in on. There should be people that are assigned to things or ready to take initiative to be assigned to things, specific roles that are needed. There should be people that are just being, communicative and supportive for the raiding efforts, being professional, that kind of thing. That's that 1%, okay? So we're going to have most of it is completely objective, and we want to make sure that everyone knows that we are doing as much as we can to make sure the looting is fair. But at the same time, we're not going to be wasting, investment on people who are half-assing. So that's that 1%. If there are any questions about any of the loot system stuff, make sure you talk to me, or even better, talk to my officers. And that's about it. Thanks for watching.